Hi there guys, Austin here with Plus1G, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the Savage Strike reveals that were leaked today. Before I get started, I want to thank Italian Yu-Gi-Oh!, Silver Games, the people on Zodiac Duelist, and a couple other sources that I'll get to during the video for sharing this information. Otherwise, players like us would not be able to access it and redistribute it. So first, we'll talk about the new TCG Exclusive archetype, which is the Time Thieves. 6 cards were revealed out of the 12 TCG Exclusives allocated for Savage Strike for this archetype, and it seems like it's going to be a multi-type but mono-attribute Xyz-based archetype. They revealed 3 main deck monsters, 1 continuous spell, 1 normal trap, and 1 Xyz monster for the archetype for this set, and so far it's somewhat promising, but I have a couple concerns with the archetype going into the future as we look for future support. Let's start with the good. The first card that was revealed, to my knowledge, was Time Thief Winder. He's a level 4 psychic effect monster, dark attribute, like all of the monsters in the archetype, 1800 attack, 1300 defense, and he has the following effect. You can detach 1 material from an Xyz monster you control to special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Time Thief card from your deck to your hand except Time Thief Winder. You can only use each effect of Time Thief Winder once per turn. This is an interesting card. I think that based on the other monsters in the archetype, the summoning condition is realistic. However, I noticed inherent contradiction between it and the 1 Xyz monster that was revealed for the archetype, and I'll get to that shortly. I think that a monster that has a built-in summoning condition that can be accomplished easily within the archetype is strong, and I think that recruiting a card from the deck by normal or special summon is also really beneficial. Overall, I would give this card about an 8 out of 10. The next card is another main deck monster, Time Thief Bezel Ship. It's a level 4 dark machine, 1000 attack, 2000 defense, so not a machine dupe target. It has a quick effect that you contribute it and then target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control to basically DD Crow a card from your opponent's graveyard to a Time Thief Xyz monster you control. It's interesting because it can prevent your opponent from committing to cards which may target in the graveyard, like Dragonhawk or even activating Ray. Well, I guess it can activate in the damage steps, or not activating Ray, or using Monster Born or something like that where they would have to declare a target. So that seemed strong to me. And then its second effect is that if it's in the graveyard, it has the same effect as Winder. You can detach an Xyz material from a Xyz monster you control to special summon it. However, it's banished when it leaves the field. Obviously, you can get around this by using it for an Xyz summon, which is the intended purpose of the card anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Again, I think this card would be like a 7 or 8 out of 10. My favorite main deck monster that was revealed is Time Thief Regulator. It's like a rescue rabbit for the archetype. It doesn't have to be normal summon to activate its effect, which is great. If you control no other monsters, you contribute it to special summon 2 Time Thief monsters with different names from your deck in defense position except itself. When an Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle, unfortunately not by card effect, while it's in the graveyard you can trigger its effect to special summon it, but again banish it when it leaves the field. This is interesting because it doesn't require itself to be sent to graveyard to use its effects, so over the course of a longer game you could really be getting multiple uses out of 1 copy of this card, which is interesting because it can become a 1-card Xyz. It also triggers Winder if it special summons it from the deck because it doesn't say anything about negating the effects of the monsters that it summons. It's also should be noted that its first effect is not a hard once per turn, so for example, if they have a way of summoning a monster from the deck by a spell or trap later on, or summoning from the hand, you could, assuming you had multiple copies of Regulator, you could attempt to summon it, activate its effect, maybe it gets ashed. If you have another copy, you could go and try to use it again on normal summon to get that 1-card Exceed Monster. The continuous spell is called Time Thief Hack. This is my least favorite card that was released for the archetype today. It prevents your Time Thief monsters, your Exceed monsters from being destroyed or targeted by card effects on the turn that they're summoned. And once per turn, it allows you to target face-up Exceed monster you control to steroid it by 300 for each material it has, and allows it to attack your opponent directly. This feels like a strong card, but only in the sense that, like, if you're losing and you need to do like 3,000 more damage to your opponent to seal out the game, and your opponent already has a board and they don't have a way of stopping a direct attack, like you could do that to like Saki win the game. I think the protection from targeting and protection from destruction on the turn that Exceed monsters are summoned is something of value, but ultimately not a game-winning condition. Maybe if it kept your Exceed monsters from being targeted entirely, or just offered this protection to Time Thief monsters throughout the entire duel, that would be more beneficial and not break the deck as far as generic Exceed monsters becoming untargetable. The trap card that they received is called Time Thief Flyback. On the field, it allows you to target one Time Thief Exceed monster you control and attach one Time Thief card from your hand or deck to it as a material. This is great because it allows you to use the capacities of the Exceed monster that was revealed by attaching a spell or a trap to it, which provides it with additional effects. It also has a graveyard effect that you don't have to wait to use. It can be used the turn that it's sent, which allows you to do something similar to what Bezel Ship does by removing a card from your opponent's graveyard and attaching it to a Time Thief Exceed monster that you control. But both effects of the trap card are hard ones per turn, so multiple copies won't get you very far in the same turn. The Exceed monster, I think, is one of the more interesting cards out of the archetype. I think, Winder and Regulator are the most competitive, but Redoer is really interesting. It requires 2 level 4 monsters, so it is generic, so you can play other rank 4 packages within this deck, which is already a benefit. And it says once per turn during the standby phase, same trigger timing as Toad, you can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card as material. While it requires a slight amount of RNG, you'll see that with the following mechanic, this really opens up some wacky possibilities for what you can do with this monster. It allows you to detach up to 3 materials at once as a quick effect once per turn, and apply the following effects based on the types of cards that were detached. So if you detached a spell, you get to draw a card, so that's already really strong. Being able to fill up your hand on your own turn and your opponent's turn seems like a really great benefit. You can also deny your opponent the card off the top of their deck during the standby phase, and then wait till the end phase if all you have left is spells on this monster, and just detach during the end phase to deny them possible recursion from that spell, but also draw a card and allow yourself to activate Redoer's effect on your own turn. If a monster is detached, it becomes a Psy-Frame Lord Omega and banishes itself until the end phase. And a trap card allows you to compulse one face-up card your opponent controls to the top of the deck, which seems beneficial. And it's really nice that this card was given a quick effect. One interesting thing I want to point out about Redoer is its synergy with its own effect when it detaches a trap card. By selecting the card to put on top of your opponent's deck, sometimes you can line up which type of card you'd like to attach to your Redoer during the standby phase with its effect. This is great because it allows you to control which effects you're activating with this card and limits the RNG that I was discussing earlier. Additionally, a card that I thought of immediately when I looked at this was the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. By using it to summon Redoer, you're guaranteeing yourself that bounce effect when you detach Shade Brigandine as a trap card. Therefore, instilling consistency in your own engine and guaranteeing disruption during your opponent's turn. You could also run a full Phantom Knight package, playing both Cloak and Boots along with Shade Brigandine and even Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Wand in a combo which would require you to have both Cloak and Boots along with Winder, but would look something like this. You could normal summon Cloak to special summon Boots from your hand by controlling a Phantom Knight's monster, overlay them for something like Breaksword, then detach a material to special summon Winder from the hand. You could use Phantom Knights of Breaksword's effect to pop your Winder and one of your opponent's cards, and then because it has no materials, it becomes an eligible target for launch. Winder, when it's summoned, could also search for the Time Thief Trap card, which would then allow you to attach a trap to your Redoer during your opponent's turn. Then you could banish your Boots and your Cloak to search Rank Up Magic Launch and Brigandine respectively. Brigandine could act as an additional resource to summon a Redoer later in the game, and Rank Up Magic Launch could be used on Breaksword to summon Redoer directly from the extra deck and give it a spell to detach. I think that combos like this are what's going to make the deck have some ingenuity and make it a really interesting addition to the TCG, despite it potentially not being a meta-relevant tier 1 whatever contender. I think it at least inspires creative gameplay, which makes me happy in a TCG exclusive archetype. Next, we'll talk about the 4 Valkyrie cards that were revealed as part of Savage Strike. 2 are main deck monsters, Virta and Sexta. The one on the right is Sexta. It's just, the name is backwards because it's a German copy that was used for this picture. She's a level 1 fairy effect monster with 0 attack and 2000 defense, and she has a very simple effect that triggers on special summon. She's an Altergeist multi-faker, so she allows you to special summon a Valkyrie from the deck when she's special summoned. This is great because it gives you another way to access Drita, which was the problem, one of the problems, not the only problem, which was one of the problems that the deck struggled with early on, was it only had one monster that could be normal summoned from the hand, and that monster also happened to be the recruiter for the deck. So, for example, if you open this card in Hecatrice, or you open this card in Valhalla, it automatically gives you access to Drita, which automatically gives you access to Ride, which can definitely help unbrick your hands, which just is a great boost for the deck. I don't think that it's going to push the deck into competitive viability, especially based on the spell and trap that were revealed today, but it's a step. She also has the ability to mill the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck while she's on the field, although I don't think that this is particularly relevant, and most of the time it may end up helping your opponent more than hurting them. The next main deck monster that was revealed was called Valkyrie Virta. She's a level 3 light fairy effect monster with a 14/14 stat line, and she has the following effect. During your main phase, you can excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of other Valkyrie monsters you control, and if you do, add one excavated normal spell or trap to your hand. Also, send the remaining cards to the graveyard. Otherwise, shuffle all excavated cards into the deck. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Valkyrie monster from your deck, and both effects are hard ones per turn. This card is really great. I almost like this card better than Sexta, but that's not true. So, remember earlier I was talking about how if you have Valhalla and Sexta, you automatically have Drita, which means you automatically have Ride. Well, if you're feeling like you want to push your luck a little bit, you can always Valhalla out Sexta to special Drita and then search Virta. And if you normal summon Virta, you can excavate the top 2 cards of your deck and possibly find the Ride without searching for it, in which case you've plussed a monster and then you've also deck thinned by one, which is really great because then you can just go for Ride, search Mischief, and attempt to push for game. She's also a potentially defensive card, because if you think about it, like if you brick, which the deck is very prone to bricking, you can just set her and possibly have her get run over by battle, then Sexta summons from the deck off of Virta's effect, and then Sexta summons Drita from the deck who then searches, and you have 2 more monsters to protect yourself with, and you get to live like an extra turn potentially. Again, she has to be destroyed by battle, but it's an added buffer just in case. There was also a normal spell and normal trap revealed for the deck. However, they are my favorite. Apple of Enlightenment is the trap card, and it's like a multiple DD Crow for the number of Valkyries you control. You target cards in your opponent's graveyard up to the number of Valkyrie monsters you control and banish them. And then it has a second effect if it's set in its owner's control and it leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect and it's now in the graveyard or banished. You can draw cards equal to the number of Valkyrie monsters you control +1. First of all, I don't love the idea of putting a normal trap in this deck, especially one that has to be set to get its effects. It just seems like it might be too slow for the win condition that the deck really goes after, which is OTKing in 1 turn with Mischief of the Time Goddess. However, I do appreciate the fact that it allows you to draw cards, and even if you don't have Valkyrie monsters, you still get to draw one if it's destroyed or banished by your opponent. Final Light is a Soul Charge-like spell card which was revealed for Valkyries. It says you can pay life points in multiples of 1,000 and then target 1 Valkyrie monster in your graveyard with a different name for every 1,000 life points paid, then special summon them. Then your opponent can special summon monsters with 2,000 or less attack from their graveyard up to the number of monsters you special summon by this effect. And it's a hard once per turn. So it's kind of like a watered down Soul Charge exclusively for Valkyries, and frankly, I think that this card could end up hurting you more than it helps. The graveyard has become such a resource for both players, and allowing your opponent to special summon a monster from their graveyard, even 1, let alone multiple, could have some really negative effects. For example, if you're playing against Altergeist and your opponent special summons a Multi-Faker, they then get to summon another monster from the deck. Not to mention, the monster that they summon is their choice, and the restriction of 2,000 or less attack is realistically not significant. Many decks, which are part of the metagame right now, focus on monsters which have lower, main deck monsters that is, which have lower than 2,000 attack. For example, like I said, Altergeist, Sky Striker, of course, Salamangreat, most if not all of the main deck monsters have less than 2,000 attack. And I feel like it's a -1 because you allow your opponent to accrue as many resources as you did, but you're the one that's using the spell card and you're the one who's paying life points. Granted, you may summon a Sexta off of this, which would allow you to summon Drita and then search, but I still don't think that the payoff is quite worth it. I think that this card could have been designed a little bit better. We also have 2 other TCG exclusives, 1 level 8 danger monster, which is a Sea Serpent with 1200 attack and 3000 defense, who has the typical danger effect to reveal itself and summon itself if it's not discarded in the draw one. However, if it is discarded, it allows you to Foolish Burial a danger monster. I'm not in love with this card. I think that they're only revealing 1 danger monster because they realize that dangers are so strong, and they're giving us one that doesn't have a great effect, instead of giving us one that could, potentially grab one from graveyard to hand. If they're saying, oh, you can send one from deck to graveyard if you want to use 2 Robert's effect, that kind of thing. And then we also got a Kaiju archetype monster. However, it's very anti-Kaiju, as the name would infer. It's actually a hand trap. And it says, during the main phase, quick effect, you can discard this card, banish 1 Kaiju monster you control that is owned by your opponent. So, assuming your opponent gives you a Kaiju over a monster that's originally yours, then it allows you to special summon 1 monster from your graveyard. What's great about this is it doesn't target the monster in your graveyard, so your opponent can't respond with Called by the Grave, assuming they know what you're going to target. In a Protect the Tower deck like ABC or even Noble Knight, really, the problem is they kind of do know what you're going to target, and even if you are playing Noble Knight, you aren't going to summon that monster back with Xyz materials. assuming it is an Xyz monster that you're summoning back from the graveyard. It's unaffected by other kaiju card effects, and it can be destroyed by battle with a kaiju monster. And during your end phase, if it's in your graveyard, you can special summon it. And it's a hard once per turn. Sorry, hard once per duel effect to replace a kaiju with something from your graveyard. Overall, I would give both of these cards like a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5. The danger monster, just intrinsically because it's a danger, is a good card, but on the scale of dangers, it's like not one of my favorites. We also had all of the secret rare cards leaked for what we're going to be expecting TCG side over here for Savage Strike. As you saw before, the Kaiju monster is a secret rare alongside Valkyrie Sexta. In addition to that, from the main set in OCG, we have Psychic Wielder coming in as a secret, Phantasme, the new hand trap, coming in as a secret, Pot of Extravagance, which was formerly known as Pot of Indulgence, Witch's Strike, Trickstar Live Stage, and TG Trident Launcher. Overall, I think the secret lineup is okay. Extravagance is a really good card in certain decks. Phantasme could be sided in certain formats. Wielder is going to become a staple in decks like Burning Abyss as soon as we get Cherubini and Dark Neostorm. And other than that, I think that the secret rares in this set are very niche. So like Witch's Strike is certainly format dependent. It depends on your opponent playing a card which negates summons, so that's okay. It does a lot for one card, but it's incredibly specific. Trickstar Live Stage is alright. I worry that because it's being printed in a high rarity, they're going to hit the deck, even though it's not very strong right now. TG Trident Launcher is archetype specific, Valkyrie Sexta is archetype specific, and the Kaiju monster is very niche as well, so I don't see those cards being very expensive in the future. I would say that the chase secrets would be Wielder, Phantasme, and Extravagance. In addition to the secret rares, we also have the lineup for all of the ultras in the set. I'll just run through them really quickly. I'm not going to talk about effects of cards that we already know from the OCG set. I'll talk about those in my best of video coming soon. I just wanted to get you the information about the cards that we're going to be having in our hands in Sneak Peek and that we're going to be having in our hands when we open packs of this set. So for ultra rares, we have the continuous spell for Guard Dragons, that normal spell for Valkyries that's similar to Soul Charge, Boral Savage, the Cyberse, Ace Synchro Monster, the Shiranui Quick Play spell, the Shiranui Link Monster, the level 6 Psychic Synchro Monster, the Trickstar Carabane Import, Trickstar Deveritus, and the new Danger Monster. Other notable information for competitive play, we have a variety of very strong super rares and rares coming out. Madolche has had a rogue presence in OCG since Pudding Cessor came out over there. She's been confirmed as a rare for this set, so people who already have Madolche, you can rejoice in the fact that that card's going to be incredibly inexpensive. Additionally, all 3 of the Guard Dragon Link monsters were revealed to be super rares. This is fantastic for players on a budget who are trying to reinvigorate blue eyes, red eyes, that kind of thing. These cards will, easily be less than $10 a piece. I would assert less than $5 a piece, but we'll have to look at some pricing. Salamangrate, Sunlight Wolf I was expecting personally to be a secret. However, he was revealed to be just a rare. This means that people who want to play Salamangrate can pick this deck up for, easily $35. If they want to play Lady Debug, it's going to be about $50 for the whole deck. I expect this deck to be tier 1 over here. Some people are saying it's not going to be tier 1 depending on our ban list. This has some relevance, like I agree, it does depend on the ban list. However, I think that it has a really strong chance of being a tier 1, if not tier 1.5 deck. Kaina, the new Sky Striker monster, is a super in trend with Hayate and Kagari and Shizuku in the past. This isn't a surprise, just thought I'd let you know because it is the best deck right now. And then I also have our 8 OCG imports gathered here by silver cards for you guys. So we have a Cyberse monster that special summons itself from the hand, whose name I'm forgetting, a Performapal, Legendary Spirit of the Sixth Samurai, the Subterra Guru. I know a lot of people are excited for that card. Trickstar Carabane, that one's also really strong. Necro Shinobi, or Shinobi Necro, I forget what it's called. That one's pretty strong too-ish. Red Rising Dragon and Mega Maxi, I think it's like Super Armor Iron something. I'll put that information in the description for you guys. Overall, I think that this set could have been better, like as far as the secondary market goes, if some of the rarities were switched. However, I really like that Konami is serving their player base by providing them with some inexpensive meta choices such as Salamangreat and Guard Dragons. And I like that the secret rares are niche cards, which will end up being inexpensive due to their nicheness. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this information helped you, and I'll see you shortly.